chartered accountant by profession, he was the CFO of Infosys, and now Mr. Balakrishnan has taken the political plunge. He will be the Aam Aadmi Party's candidate from Bangalore Central. Thank you for joining us. So you have been declared as the Aam Aadmi Party's candidate from Bangalore Central. The others have had the advantage of starting their campaign much sooner than you. But so what is your campaign plan now?
We strategize on how we are to do the campaigning. We have a full plan ready. We should be starting very soon.
But do you have a campaign plan in place?
No, at the end of the day, AAP is a great idea. The idea about providing clean governance, idea about removing corruption, idea about removing crony capitalism. I think that captures the imagination of people across the spectrum. Because all of us are impacted by corruption one way or another in our life. So everybody wants corruption to be removed. Corruption is a big cost for citizens, and it's like a tax, indirect tax, and it's a big cost for corporates too, because 20-25% of the cost for corporates are because of corruption. If you remove corruption, I think the country will become highly competitive. So the corruption, clean governance captures the imagination of people across the spectrum. So if you are able to reach out to people and convey the idea effectively, I think people will accept that idea.
Since you spoke so much about corruption, there's of course this criticism that Aam Aadmi Party is based too much on the corruption plank. So do you think corruption is really the only issue which the country faces now?
No, it is not the only issue, but that is the core of the issue. Because even you can have the best of the people running the government, you can have best of the economic policies. But because of corruption, if you are not able to implement the policy effectively, you get stuck. What has happened in coal, what has happened in power sector, all a reflection of that. So I think core to any policy of a government is corruption-free, honest governance. That is the starting point. If you are not able to fix that, the downstream things is not going to happen effectively.
Let's get into specifics. When it comes to economic policies, what do you and your party believe in? What is the change that you would want to bring about in the economic policies of the country?
No, the economic policy is clearly laid out when Arvind spoke in CII. What we are talking about is we need to create a honest ecosystem in this country where people can come and do business honestly and flourish. We need less and less of government in business because government cannot create jobs in a scale this country wants. This country has to create at least 10 lakh jobs a month. That means 1.2 crore jobs a year. In the last few years, if you look at, we have not created that kind of job. There are a lot of unemployment with the youth. So if we have to create more jobs, we have to require more and more private participation. For that, you need to create an ecosystem where people can come, invest and succeed in business irrespective of the economic strata. And number three, we should also focus on improving the growth because this country requires at least 8 to 10% growth. So your policy regime should be stable, simple and easy to implement. And if somebody crosses the line, because the effective implementation of law is very important for any country, right? If you don't effectively enforce the law, then people who can game the system can still win. So you need effective implementation of the law and make sure people who are not following the law are punished effectively. And third, justice system need to be improved because you can't wait for years to get justice in this country. We need to invest in the justice system. So I think we clearly laid down what is the contours of our economic policy. If you're talking about detail, whether tax slab will be 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, that will come after somebody comes to the power.
Since you spoke about job creation, and that's of course one of the biggest issues which people across the country are facing. If the Aam Aadmi Party is part of the government which is actually going to head the centre, then what is your plan? How will you create this lakhs of jobs like you're talking about? How will you create these jobs?
So we need to focus on manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector can create a lot of jobs. India is mainly service-oriented economy. We have to shift and try to make manufacturing big. So we need good manufacturing policies where people can come and invest and create jobs. And second, labor reforms. Labor reforms are very important because unless you reform the labor laws, companies are not willing to invest and grow. Because you need to come with a system where people can easily hire people and downsize when required. Of course, you need to have a system where people have the unemployment allowance for some time, or you have the reskilling initiatives where people can be reskilled and get re-employed in the industry. And as a country, we need to come with a big reskilling program because a lot of people are there, but they are not ready for the industry. You need the finishing schools. So I think if you do all that, I think unemployment problem can be addressed.
Since you mentioned reform of labor laws, can we just get into specifics? What kind of reform would you want to see in labor laws, and how can that be done?
No, I think reforming labor laws requires a lot of consensus. We have to work with the people, but it is very much required. Otherwise, people are trying to, if you look at any industry today, at least 15-20% of the labor force are temporary labor force. Why it is happening? Because people want the flexibility. Because we are living in a world where economic volatility is very high. Businesses are not growing in a straight line. So when there is an economic volatility, you need to adjust the workforce. Companies want that flexibility, but when you give the flexibility, you should also make sure there is a safety net. So you have to balance both. That is what Aam Aadmi Party will do.
You are the Aam Aadmi Party's contestant from Bangalore. What are the 2 or 3 critical issues that you would be looking at as far as Bangalore city goes?
See, Bangalore, the issues are known to everybody. If you walk around the street, you can see the issues. Infrastructure is bad, traffic is a problem, garbage is a problem, water is a problem, power is a problem. Everybody knows the problem, right? And there are a lot of solutions also available. But effective implementers of the solution on a time-bound manner, that is critical. You need to you need to use more and more technology for public delivery of services. If they use technology, transparency will come, timeliness will come, and effective implementation is a key. That is what lacking in the city.
The Congress has declared a new face, Rizwan Arshad, for the Bangalore Central constituency. The BJP has its old face, PC Mohan, who was the Member of Parliament from this constituency. How do you see this battle really panning out between you and these 2 people?
No, I think the most positive thing for me is I am new to this political system, right? So I don't have any legacy to defend. I come with a fresh thinking, fresh mind. And the concept of clean governance, honest governance, free of corruption, is something which will appeal to people across the board, irrespective of the economic strata. So I think if you are able to convey what you want to do, and if you are able to capture the imagination of people, I think we would have done our work.
You've been a part of the corporate world for so many years. So what are those lessons from the corporate world which you have brought with you as you take this political plunge?
No, in a corporate world, you always try to use more and more technology to improve efficiency, and you know how to manage the scale, because country of India's size, scale is very important. You need to understand how to manage the scale, and you need to understand how to manage the expectation of different stakeholders. Because when you work in a corporate, you have a defined set of stakeholders. When you come to a political world, everybody else you see is a stakeholder in some form or another. So you have a large scale of stakeholders, and of course some of the experience you gain in the corporate world in terms of managing the scale, using the technology, trying to come with innovative solutions, all that will help.
When people like you and Mr. Nandan Nilekani join politics and you become candidates of mainstream parties, what do you think is that message which is being sent out, especially to the youth of this country who are watching these elections very carefully?
I think if you take any middle class family in this country, politics is not even a last option for most of them, because they think it's a dirty world, it is a new world, it is not a place for good, honest people. I think people like us coming into the system and saying that we will try to use our experience to bring a differentiation in this political space. It's a good message for youngsters. If some of us actually succeed, I think we'll become role models for youngsters, and all the aspirational, honest youngsters who want to get into a system, want to change, they will find a good role model.
Since you mentioned the word success, how much does success really matter to you and the Aam Aadmi Party? There is that question that if you all are not successful in this election, what happens in the next 5 years? Are you patient enough to really roll out the party in the next 5 years? What happens to the party in the next 5 years?
No, I think to some extent, life is not going to be a big bang game. If you are not able to make a large impact in this election, we can definitely make an impact in the next election. It's all an incremental thing. At the end of the day, you have to focus on your ideas, be able to articulate it well, capture the imagination, and it is a long-term journey. I mean, it's not about this election or next election. Ultimately, if the idea succeeds, it is very good for the country. That is what we should focus.
Well, let me finish the interview with a final question. The last few days, we have seen a lot of media coverage on the Aam Aadmi Party. We have seen too many voices emerging from the party, almost bordering on being chaotic. So, is that a problem which the party is facing now? There are too many people with different ambitions coming into one political party and no ideology to really bring them together?
No, I don't think so. See, any big change will happen in a system only through unconventional ways. But don't forget, you have too much of legacy. For you to change the legacy, sometimes you have to use unconventional ways. That some people think it is chaotic, some people think it is revolutionary. As I said, we are living in a democracy. Anything you do, some 50% will criticize that, 50% will support that. So I think as long as you believe that what you are doing is right and you are going in the right direction, I think you should do it. That's what Aam Aadmi Party will do.
Thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.